Anybody like to volunteer? Otherwise, maybe we ask Shakti. She's our elder, our oldest or eldest. Do you like to share, Shakti, what happened for you?
Yes. So for me, by the first look, I had a very strong tension in my eyes and a little bit up to the third eye area. And then from the second look, the energy went down to the heart and there was a strong love. And for the third time, if the energy went down, and then it was very much around the root chakra area.
Okay. And now, how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling, well, I don't know what I'm feeling. Now I feel all three together, or I guess I come a little bit out of it because I speak and all kind of things. So.
Okay, good. Somebody else like to share? Okay, Parvati. You're sitting in the sun down there in Denia. Are you outside?
At the pool.
At the pool?
Yeah, it's a pool.
And it's still nice and warm and sunny by the look of it. Although you've got a jacket on.
Yeah, it is sunny, but not so. I got a jacket on because it is a bit cozy more. Yeah, okay. Immediately in the beginning, a very big quiet space opened up. And then I experienced actually the first time so strong that everything happened in this quiet space. The birds were singing, and the water here is a bit plätschering, I don't know the English word. And this was very beautiful, bubbling, yeah. This was very quiet, but also that everything happened in it. Like, this was very nice. It's still nice.
Yeah. Good, that's very promising. And your body health is getting better again?
Yeah, 40% I would say.
40% now.
I started with 3%.
Right. Okay, yeah, well that's quite a big improvement.
Yeah, it's really better.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Who else would like to? Okay, I'll invite Anushka, who's also in Spain. She's sitting inside one of our yurts. Are you there, Anushka?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened for you during the meditation? Anything interesting?
No.
Nothing interesting.
Nice means so like a feeling of all good, yeah. It's quiet.
Okay. Well, being quiet is not nothing, because probably that's quite rare for you. Okay. Well, we're coming down to Denia on Tuesday.
Yeah, very nice.
I hope the garden's looking good. The pool.
Everything looks beautiful.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, good. Okay. We don't get any volunteers, so I'll invite Savita.
Hello.
Hello.
In the beginning, I had a space where something was very wild and don't want to be silent. It was like laughing about the silent and it is as a joke. And it was like a bowl. It was not overall. It was one space inside me. Yeah, and then sometimes thoughts came and everything, but for me now it was very important to see this and also to remember this, because I have very much difficulties to remember what is going on inside me during the meditation. And yeah, I see that something don't want to be in the silent, and it's difficult for me to get there, or that I want this and I cannot because I want.
Okay. But I mean, I think gradually this is changing for you. Yeah, you're quite new to the community and you're very young and not so experienced with meditation. And so this is something that gradually now is you're really connecting, yeah, the possibility to really understand what's going on inside you.
Yeah, hopefully it's getting better, but now I have the feeling that I'm a bit stuck. I am not going further.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, one more and then we move on. Perhaps a volunteer this time. Okay, then we'll invite Krishna, also enjoying our lavish lifestyle down in Spain. Are you there, Krishna?
Yes. I'm sitting close to Pravati and I heard the same bird. It was very peaceful. It's a lot of beautiful sounds around. And in the last days, I was going to the sea and was sitting there on these wooden stairways which go down to this beautiful place just very close to the villa. And it was so beautiful to sit there. It was so silent. It felt like being in silent dinner. And I never felt so much energy from a place like the sea. Never had this before. It was really, really nice.
All right. So you're getting really good benefit down there, I think. Yeah. Become much quieter in the last period. Yeah. And when do we see you in Germany? When are you coming back to the German community? You're flying back, yeah?
Yeah, 22nd, I heard now.
22nd. Okay. When is that? Monday, is it? Tuesday?
On Monday.
Monday. Okay. Good. So we'll see you on Monday and then we're leaving on Tuesday. Good. Okay, and good luck with your operation. I think it's quite minor, yeah? Have you talked to the doctors? Do they give you a general anesthetic? Probably not.
I
You don't
hope
know.
yes, but I don't know.
Because I had this operation maybe 30 years ago, and they only gave me a local anesthetic.
Okay.
So actually, I was completely conscious during the operation.
Wow.
But they were very kind. They put a kind of screen between me and my eyes and the operation. But it was still quite full on because I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything. But of course, you're sort of involved when the doctors talk together or something. You know? Pass me the knife. Yeah. Anyway, so I think probably you'll have a local anesthetic, which is better because then you can recover quite quickly. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So we have a film that we're going to show now. Is Owen there? Can you turn on the film? So this film is fairly recent, but it wasn't a planned meeting. I think we'd had some kind of meeting together in the community. I don't remember exactly. And at the end of it, maybe we'd watched a film together. And at the end of it, I felt very inspired. And I spoke in a rather strong way. And we're going to show just a few minutes of that tonight. 4 minutes.
Reading a story.
Go ahead.
I was reading a story last night. So somebody we know very well, a Russian girl, you know, she used to live in Siberia, and she had a very strong, how can I say, she knew she was going to meet her master. She knew it. She kind of had a picture of her master. And she managed to get herself from Siberia without any money to Moscow. And she had this very strong inner clarity about meeting the master. So in Moscow, amazingly, she met somebody I know, who had a spare ticket to India. He probably didn't have a spare ticket, but he probably decided she deserved the ticket. So he bought her a ticket, or he had a ticket, and she flew to India. And this man was thinking that Osho would be the master. Yeah? And when she came to the ashram, she realized for herself, this is not my master. Anyway, I think he'd already left the body by then. So she realized it's not the master. And then she met somebody who said, probably your master is in Lucknow. So then she came to Lucknow. She arrived there with no money. She couldn't speak English. And she was pretty young. I don't know. Anyway, Papaji immediately said to her, I was waiting for you. Oh, no. Now I'm going to cry. Anyway, you can read in the book what happened to her there. But one beautiful thing was, after many years, she was living in Papaji's house, and she was working in a restaurant. So she would see Papaji in the morning at breakfast, and then she'd go out to work, and she'd come back at 9 o'clock in the evening. And guess what? Papaji was every night waiting for her with dinner. Can you imagine that? So all your ideas about spiritual is not spiritual. See? But I'm much more impressed with the fact that Papaji understood that this woman is really an amazing human being. And he was sitting there, you know, he was 85 or something, and he was sitting at 9 o'clock or, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, waiting for her to come home and giving her, well, saying, here's your dinner, you know, here's your dinner. I just heated it up, or somebody just heated it up for you. Every night. This is what it's about, you see. That's why I'm crying. So drop your ideas. You know, if you have any ideas about how spiritual should be, just drop it, because it's all nonsense. There isn't any spiritual life. There's only fucking life, you know, fucking life, which you can lead it in a more aware way. You can have some awareness about your life. But there is not some sort of special section called spiritual life. I remember years ago I was a Reiki master. When I first left India and came to Australia, the only thing that I could make some money was teaching Reiki. So I was a Reiki master, so I was teaching Reiki. And you know, the Reiki people, such a bullshit, they talk about Reiki energy as if it's a sort of special pipeline of special Reiki energy that they can bring to you, right? I always thought, well, this is fucking stupid, you know, how can it be like that? So there are so many bullshits in the spiritual world. You have to really look through this bullshit. So play your music, cook your food, and do your computer stuff. And that's how it goes, you know. That's how it goes, every day together. And we create incredible field of love in this house.
Okay. Well, quite a few fucks that day. Anyway, it's really about trust, you know, really about trust and acceptance that life unfolds. And actually, when this young woman arrived, I had quite a nice connection. We became a bit friends, and in the last years, I again became more friendly with her. Whenever I go to the south of India in January, I always have a massage or two. She's a very, very unusual woman, very, if you like, living very simply, very with herself. She actually has a husband, yeah, she lives in a very simple little room, actually, in South India. But she has an amazing ability to touch somebody's body, and to know what's going on with them, and to really be able to change something in the body. And I mean, this story, I mean, isn't really about Papaji sitting there with her dinner. This story is not about dinner. I mean, there's a big gap, which you can read in one of my books. I can't remember which one now. Probably Remarkable People. You can find this story. Oh, it's not in a book yet, actually. It's one of the newer interviews. It's not yet in a book. But there was a whole series of amazing things that happened in Lucknow between her and Papaji. For example, every morning for several years, she was always the first person to stand outside the meeting hall in the same place. So gradually, of course, Papaji was coming in his vehicle to the meeting, and he would see this woman always standing there in the same place every morning. And probably somebody told him that actually this woman is the very first person that shows up every morning. An enormous trust and an enormous clarity. And nothing was going to stop her leaving Siberia. I remember she's a very sort of salty lady, actually. And I remember telling me that her mother sensed that she wanted to leave. And so her mother hid her passport and said, "I'm not giving you your passport." And so she said to her mother, "Okay, Mum, then I'm going to kill you." And her mother knew her well enough to know that if she said that, she would do it. And so she got her passport and got herself to Moscow. And enormous trust, enormous trust. And, you know, the beauty of Papaji, the beauty of a really true master, is that when he said, you know, "I'm waiting for you," on some level, as soon as he met her, he knew that this was somebody who he wanted to work with, he wanted to know this woman, he wanted to support this woman. He just knew it immediately. And of course, there were many people he was waiting for. It was a very particular time when many very experienced spiritual people who'd done lots of spiritual practice in other places, other traditions even, had come to meet him. And I think he recognized many people when they came to meet him. I remember one of my friends who is now in his own way a satsang teacher, and also he's a very good musician. And when I interviewed him about his time with Papaji, he told me, well, you know, I came from Osho, I'd been doing a lot of meditation, a lot of workshops and so on around Osho, and I came to visit Papaji. And on my first meeting, the first meeting where I came there, I had a question or something like a question for Papaji. And he invited me to come and sit next to him. And then he just tickled me. He just tickled me, you see. And this tickling was enough. It was enough for this guy to lose his bananas completely, you see. So it's not always about some incredible philosophy, you see. We don't need to read so many books. It's not about that. It's about presence and trust and a deep surrender. And this man who was tickled, he spends his time now either giving meetings or traveling, singing mantras, making mantra concerts. Quite a well-known guy. So his name is Parry. Some of you may know him as Parry. He sings with his wife, Satya and Parry. And he had a wonderful connection with Papaji, very personal. Papaji would come and visit his house. In the afternoons, they would hang out a bit and laugh a lot. But this first meeting, he went there, you know, after many years of being with Osho, he went there to meet Papaji. And Papaji, of course, could recognize the state he was in. And he just tickled him. And they just spent some time together in the meeting, laughing like crazy. So, you know, this is the response of a master, you see. He recognized this Russian girl. I mean, there were many, I can tell many other stories. I was there for some years and I can tell many other stories. I mean, he did terrible things. I remember there was an English man who was very attractive to women, and he managed to get himself 2 girlfriends, and they each had the same name. I think it was maybe Satya actually. Anyway, it doesn't matter what the name, but anyway, they both had the same name. And he couldn't decide which of these 2 women he wanted to marry. One was from Germany, one was from Australia. And so 3 of them went to Papaji's house one evening, and they had, you know, lots of discussions with Papaji. And finally, he said, marry the Australian one, okay? So he accepted that. And then the next day in Papaji's satsang meeting, I don't know whether it was Papaji himself or the other woman, I don't know, but somebody then asked Papaji again, you know, and Papaji said, marry the German one. Ha ha ha. So this is something that, of course, we take very, very seriously about who we're going to marry. But of course, Papaji didn't take it very seriously. Because, of course, he knew that whichever one this guy would marry, there would be a hell of a dramatic time going on. And finally, you know, it wouldn't work out. But anyway, he enjoyed this kind of play, you know. You could call it spiritual play. Yeah. Okay, so Maybe somebody likes to comment on this film. Anything else to do with this deep trust that's needed? And when you have this deep trust, life day by day becomes really, really beautiful. You see, I don't know if anybody knows, but today the weather was really wonderful. There was no wind. And it had been decided that today was the day I would put my boat into the Rhine. I have a small boat, and it's always a sort of drama to get the boat ready and then get it in the water. And I get a lot of help from the guys in the community. And today was the day. So we put it in the water. And then my girls, most of you know I have 2 daughters, 7 years old. And I invited them to come on a boat ride. And I invited some other people that had been helping with the boat and helping with the girls. And we weren't quite sure because some people had told me, well, can you really take your girls on the river? Then maybe the boat will sink. That was one helpful comment. And another was, what if the engine stops? Because last year we hardly ran the engine at all for the whole year. So it's like, what do I do? Do I really take my girls on the boat when it could, sink, or the engine could stop? But anyway, inside me, for me, there wasn't a question. So we started off in the harbor, driving the boat up and down. So we gave the engine time to stop working, and we gave the boat time to sink, but it didn't. And so after some time, I said, okay, let's go on the river. And just down the river, about 40 minutes down the river, there's a new bridge being built. And so we drove the boat quite a high speed down the river to the new bridge. I took some pictures, came back, and the girls had a wonderful time. The last time I offered them to sit on my boat, they had been too scary. And today they just had a great time on the boat. So what to say, it's like when you have your inner compass, your inner navigation connected to existence, then you basically always know, you always know. There was nothing that wasn't perfect today. The weather was beautiful. We had a nice crew on the boat. The girls were very happy because they didn't have to go to school. And yeah, we all had a great time. And the boat didn't sink and the engine didn't stop. Amazing. It's an old wooden boat, It's the only wooden boat I can ever see on the river, actually. They've all got these modern plastic boats. But of course, being me, I like the old wooden boat. And it's sort of hanging together after many years. I think I've had this boat about 15 years now. Okay. So this is all the time, when you come into this deep trust with existence, and when you don't think very much, you just allow things to happen as they're supposed to happen. You can recognize that they're supposed to happen because it's so clear inside. So clear inside. Some of you know this. It's very beautiful. And some of you maybe know it in a sort of intellectual way, but you're not living it. You're not really trusting enough to live it. But you can. Nothing special. There's nothing special about spirituality. Spirituality is life unfolding with awareness. First of all, awareness is very, very important. And then when you have achieved some level of awareness, when you've achieved some level of silence inside so that the thoughts are not rampant, then at any moment you can come through into this deep trust. And it happens by itself. At a certain level, it happens by itself. And when I look now at the screen, I can see so many of you are kind of on the edge of this. It's very beautiful. Okay. Anybody like to comment? Vishnu, he's our latest resident. Actually, he's just joined, I think, the community last week. Although he's been around since January, I think it is. And I get very positive reports that he's very into yes. Mr. Yes, are you there?
Mr. Yes is here from Dania. Yesterday I had a jab or something, back pain. And today there was the back pain again this morning, but I surrendered it, and the back pain is less than it was this morning. So I feel content with it, and it gave me a lot of trust that I can trust the energy. And sometimes it's hard dealing with this body, but at the same time it's okay. It will change. That's life.
And do you see yourself in this deep surrender where most of the time you can easily accept what's happening?
Yeah, most of the time I accept what's happening, and I love the silence. And I get Parvati and Krishna saying that the lovely sounds of the birds here. When I'm in silence, I hear the birds and see the fish, and connect on that way with nature. And it's a lot more exciting than all the bullshit in my head. Who is there sometimes? All the thoughts, what really nonsense is sometimes, or most of the times.
Yeah, I mean, you're from Holland, I think, and it seems from your story that you were kind of seeking something for many years. Yeah, even when you were quite young, you were seeking without really knowing what you could find in a way. So you played with some drugs because you're also Dutch. That tends to happen in Holland. And then you tried some alcohol, and these things in the end didn't satisfy you. You kind of gave it up, became very clean. Then you discovered meditation. So somehow you were, I think, a searcher. You were looking for something. And gradually it seems to me that your trust in the possibility of existence became stronger and stronger. Do you see your life like that?
Yeah. I think the community found me. Instead, I found the community. I followed the energy, and I think I can stop searching now because I found what I was looking for.
Right.
The search is ending.
Yeah, and now you become a finder. It's a rare. It's a rare human being who's found this inner peace and silence. And that in a way, that's the limit of your own efforts to come to this peace and silence inside. And then whether you become completely free and whether you can live in a total trust with existence is not really then something that you can do much about. It happens by itself.
Yeah, it's true. I'm the only person who can block this state, and the only thing I have to do is don't block this situation. But something like an ego who says, "Oh, this or that," and then I'm going out. So to care a little bit for my ego sometimes. Say, okay, it's okay. You can trust it. Go with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people report about you. I don't know you yet so well, but it's what people report is that you're so ready to say yes and do what is needed in that moment. And, as you're part of a group of people at the moment doing construction down there, Of course, there's always different things needed. Like today, you went to pick up the tiles. We had specially made these very beautiful tiles that we're putting in the outside bathrooms. And I mean, they were needed, and you went and picked them up, and you know, no big deal. You know, it's not a big deal. But you could say, well, actually, I don't want to drive the car. I prefer to go and do something else or something. So this adds up. You know, this sort of yes, this adds up over time when there's basically a relaxed kind of daily lifestyle where you're basically most of the time you're in this energy of yes, which yes means you accept what is. Doesn't mean you always terribly like it, but you just say yes and get on with it. And some of the things you like very much, and some you maybe don't like so much, but it doesn't matter, because the thing that's really valuable is this inner sense of yes. Yes, I can trust my life is unfolding, and right now it brings me to go and pick up the tiles. It's a kind of simple thing, you know, very simple thing.
Yes, and there was another thing. VJ needs something for his construction things, and he speaks Russian or Ukrainian. I don't speak it any words, but yeah, in the end of the day, I bought the stuff he needed. And yeah, that's totally surrendering and trusting.
Yeah.
I have no clue what he said to me, but in the end of the day, he got the stuff what he needed.
Right. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, perhaps somebody else likes to volunteer themselves without me volunteering you. Denya is really hot tonight. Okay.
So it touched me what you said about trust, yeah, and then I asked me what is trust. It is, yeah, sometimes I want to understand, yeah, if something happens, I don't understand, I don't find okay, I don't find fair or something, then the mind comes in, and a lot of stories comes in, and emotion comes in. And trust is not let this overtake me, just yeah, not let become the mind strong.
I mean, I think as you experience trust, you know, when this trust is getting deeper and is turning up in your life more often,
yeah,
then you're in a position you can compare how your life is when you're having opinions or feelings about some situation. And then you realize that this is all from what's been conditioned inside you from the past, different situations that happened to you in the past. So that motivates, when you're there in the mind, it motivates what's happening then in your mind. But when the mind is not so busy, then there's a possibility that you see that in fact there is trust. There's a lot of trust. You have a lot of trust. I mean, you're supervising this construction, for example, and even though sometimes, like last night, I'm not so nice to you, but basically together we're making something really beautiful down there. You know,
but this is also a change. This is also a change. Yeah. So, for example, last night when you haven't been so nice to me, it is different now, because maybe a year ago, then I had a lot of resentment or anger inside, and wanted to understand, and I don't find it fair, and something all like this. And this is not so strong anymore. It's not so long anymore also. And this means that Yeah, this is about trust also.
Right, right.
This feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is not, I really need to sort it out. Yeah, I need to discuss it out. I need to, this is not trust.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, gradually, I think most of the people who've been a longer time in our community have come to see the price that we pay when we allow the mind to become dominating. Yeah, when the mind wants to write a long email saying, it wasn't nice what you told me, and it wasn't nice the way you told it, and why is it like that, and blah, blah, and blah, blah, and blah, blah. I mean, when you in the old days would do all that, the end result is what? Nothing really, just that it affects the possibility of becoming really still inside, and it affects the possibility of going into a deep trust and surrender to life itself. So to be able to simply accept what's happening, even if it's not quite pleasant, then that's an enormous step, actually. And of course, you've been doing very sincere work on yourself for many years. And this is tremendously impressive, actually, tremendously impressive. And if we could play back right now one of your videos from an old Zoom meeting of, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, you wouldn't even recognize yourself, you know. Enormous transformation has happened without any, in a way, intention to change. The change happens by itself. You can say it happens by a certain commitment. I remember when I was living in Lucknow, there was one American woman who I think everybody, I mean, not everybody, of course, but very, very many people found her to be totally impossible. She was super neurotic, super grabby to get in the front of everybody else. She was super grabby to get a strong connection to Papaji. And in the end, I think she was actually even living in his house. So in one way, it was very successful for her to be so pushy. And but everybody found her impossible, yeah. And so then there was the thought that Papaji is very happy to have this woman in his house, not for any sort of special reason that she deserved to be there, but a much more interesting reason that he knew that she was causing every day with the other people lots and lots of dramas, you know? And relating with her regularly, you could either stay in your stuff and, you know, have a lot of drama, or you could see this woman to be as she is and accept her as she is, and then not be disturbed. So she was a very effective assistant, you could say, like an assistant for Papaji. Okay, so good. How are we doing now? We have some time. Yeah, good. So I see we have a recent volunteer, Victoria. She showed up in our community a couple of weeks ago and stayed for a week as a volunteer. And this is really the beginning of her spiritual understanding and her spiritual life. But she was very touched. Sometimes she told us that she was crying because she was so touched. So perhaps you'd like to comment on this little film?
It's for me, it's very hard to trust someone or trust something. Like it's difficult to trust the destiny. Like, you know, something is pulling you, and I'm trying not to go with all of my luggages and all of my problems and just lose everything to gain this trust and to live my destiny. And yeah, since I know you, I'm trying to trust the destiny, and I'm trying to say yes for a new spiritual experience. And so yes, this week was very good for me. I'm way more like relaxed. I don't have a lot of thoughts that I had. Like when I have a stress or something, I just try to relax and meditate for a couple of minutes and just to live the moment.
All right, all right. Well, you're very much in a moment in your life, yeah. Somehow your destiny has brought you in touch with meditation, brought you in touch with a new possibility that you didn't know before, in how you could live your life. You found a community of people and possibly a teacher who you'd like to spend time with, and through that teacher and the community, you can, like today, you've been here again as a volunteer all day, I think, and that probably that didn't make your husband so happy. So now you know that part of the spiritual work is dealing with husbands who are not happy about their wife going off with strange people and doing things that maybe he doesn't have any interest about. You know? So this is going to be a test for you, of course. It's not so easy. You come from Syria, I think, is it Syria?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you come from Syria, he comes from Iran. So you were telling me how one of your best friends would like you to wear a scarf over your head, because that's what good Muslims should be doing. So, I mean, you're going to have a lot of pressures, you know, or you have already a lot of pressures on you. And to really come into a deep trust with life, you have to see how all that is going to work out, yeah, and how much of it you can accept. Like you don't wear a scarf, so that was definitely not something you could accept. Yeah. And as you become more confident in your connection to your inner, into your inner state, it'll become more and more clear to you what is right for you or not right for you. I mean, it just takes time, you know, it takes time, because otherwise we easily go always to our ego. You know, I have a very interesting situation. You were looking after my daughters today, and so you get to know them a bit now. And you may have noticed they're very different characters, you know, and one of them is very clear about what, in any moment, she's very clear what she wants and what she doesn't want. And she doesn't have these nice sort of social behavioral patterns, you know. So recently, she was having a one-day tryout in a new school. Next year she's going to school. Well, this year she's going to school. And in their break time, they were outside playing together, and they had a seesaw. So she sat at one end of the seesaw, and she'd made a friend in that first day. She made a friend. So she invited this friend to sit on the other end. So then they had a nice time, you know, going up and down on the seesaw. And then this friend, I guess, got off, and some other little girl wanted to sit there. And Amelia decided, I don't want that girl sitting there. And so she said, no, not you. That other girl, some other girl was okay, but not that girl, you know. So she doesn't have these nice social kind of understandings about how to behave, but she's enormously honest to the point that I know her life's going to be difficult, because very often you can't be so very clear and true to yourself. Society finds that very difficult. And but at the same time, I just love her for that. It touches so deep when someone, you can feel somebody is absolutely in that moment expressing what she wants. Yeah? And you may have noticed playing with her today that it can change very quickly. So in one moment she wants whatever, and the next moment she lets that go, and there's something else that she wants. And she's equally clear then about that. And it seems to me, this is something very beautiful, that as human beings, we get more and more in touch with our inner truth, our essence, then we can express this essence. And we don't really mind if people want to accept it or find it difficult. We don't need to worry about that. We can simply express ourselves. We may not do so well, you know, in the society, I don't know. Sometimes people actually like that. Sometimes they don't like that. Probably you're somebody who quite likes that, and playing with them today for some time, probably you laughed a lot or cried a lot. Did you laugh or cry?
I laughed a lot.
Yeah, good, good. And when I came down, you remember what they said? They'd already decided, she'd already decided that you were now her new friend. After just a few hours, you had gone through the test. She's very good at testing people. And after her test, she's very clear then, either you're a friend or you're not a friend. Then you could become a chicken. That's the worst punishment from Amelia, is that you're a chicken. You see, if you become a chicken, no chance to be a friend then. Anyway, not for some time. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay, good. Okay, we have still more time. We have somebody new who's just come, Maria. Have you, Maria, would you like to have a meeting with me? If you can put on your camera. I think we maybe haven't met before.
Ja, ich versuche gerade. Ich habe hier ein bisschen technische Probleme. Ich habe gerade alles so gut wie möglich eingestellt. Ja, jetzt kann ich ein bisschen über den PC sprechen. Genau, jetzt geht's.
So can I get a translation from somebody?
Yeah. So this is Shanti.
Right.
Ja.
No, she's online.
Our mysterious guest. Okay.
Mysteriöse
Maria,
Yeah.
I didn't know, is that really your name, Maria? I didn't know that.
Maria, wirklich dein Name?
That's
Das
my
wusste ich gar nicht.
original name. Ja.
Ja,
Okay.
das ist mein ursprünglicher Name.
Ah, okay, good. Well, I thought that we had some mysterious new guest come on. Yeah. Okay. And how is Maria? How is Maria? Or maybe I should ask you, Shanti.
Wie geht's, Maria?
Unterschiedlich. Ganz unterschiedlich.
It depends. Different. So various. It varies.
Ja, manchmal bin ich in einem sehr guten Surrender und dann doch nicht.
Sometimes I'm very well surrendered and other times.
Und das ist ein starkes Auf und Ab. Ein starkes Auf und ja. Aber das Leben, das Schicksal hat immer
it's an up and down. But destiny always has the last word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, I think, you know, you're also somebody who's has this deep yearning inside to live in a new way from the way that you've been living. You have some roots from other countries. And so it's not so easy for you always. You haven't had such an easy time. And you have a deep determination, as I can see it, that you want to really know yourself much more. And this is, of course, you know, for a teacher, that's the most beautiful thing, when somebody really wants to look.
Ja, du möchtest ja wirklich schauen und du hast da auch sehr stark, eine sehr starke Durchhaltekraft. Ja, du hast ja Wurzeln auch aus einem anderen Land. Das ist manchmal nicht so einfach, aber du bist wirklich ernsthaft auf der Suche.
Ja, ich habe tatsächlich einen sehr, sehr starken Kämpfergeist. Das stimmt. Und manchmal bin ich auch selbst mit mir sehr grenzüberschreitend deswegen.
I have a very strong warrior mind, and sometimes I'm going over limits or borders also with myself.
Aber dieser Kämpfergeist, der zeigt mir auch sehr oft, in welchen Dramas ich noch sehr, sehr stark verwickelt bin.
But this warrior mind shows me in which dramas I'm hooked.
Yeah, I remember this year in January when you were with us in India. I remember at the end, I think maybe you had to leave a little bit early, and you wanted to climb up to the top of the mountain, Arunachala mountain, and it wasn't being yet organized because you were leaving early, and so out of your own resources, you found a guide, which actually was a guide we were already familiar with. And you were announcing that, tonight I'm going to climb up the mountain, and you were going to go with this guy that you didn't know at all, just you and him going to climb up the mountain. And then, we suggested that might not be the best thing. And so we rearranged quickly for the next night that a group of people would go with you. But you had this determination, you had this courage in a way to fulfill your destiny, you can say, because it was a big issue for you at that retreat that you should have your hair cut completely and that you should climb up the hill, the mountain. Is that right?
Also in Indien im Januar, da hattest du ja diese ganz starke Idee plötzlich, dass du diesen Berg hochgehen wolltest und hast dann ohne Absprache irgendwie jemanden gefunden, der dich da hochbringt. Ja, und du wolltest auch irgendwie unbedingt deine Haare schneiden lassen. Und du hattest beides irgendwie sehr klar, dass das unbedingt in Indien passieren musste. Stimmt das?
Ja, also das waren auch extrem starke Impulse in mir, ja, und also manchmal habe ich einen sehr, sehr, sehr tief starken Impuls in mir, wo ich ganz genau weiß, ich kann nur so und es geht nicht anders, ja, es muss definitiv passieren. Und ich muss sagen, aus dieser Erfahrung, die ich gesammelt habe, ich bin sehr froh, dass ich geklettert bin auf diesem Arunachala Berg, weil manchmal, wenn ich mich sehr labil fühle oder sehr hoffnungslos oder wie auch immer, dann denke ich an diesen Arunachala Berg oder an diese Energie, die ich erspürt habe im Arunachala Berg, und dann, ja, das gibt mir irgendwie Kraft. Also das Schicksal quasi ist der Impuls, den ich bekomme, ja, und ich folge diesen Impuls und dann kriege ich extrem wichtige Erfahrungen mit, an denen ich wachsen kann, ja, und
So I'm very glad I followed this very strong impulse to go up the Arunachala, because this really gave me strength. And now sometimes when I have doubts or something, then I think of this experience I made when I climbed up the Arunachala, and it really supports me.
Yeah, good.
ja. Ich spüre auch, was ist ein egoistischer Wunsch und was ist ein Impuls, das irgendwie von irgendwo herkommt und ich ihn wahrnehme. Wo ist einfach nur Sehnsucht und wo ist ein echter Impuls, kann man so sagen.
And I can distinguish what is a wish, a desire from the ego, and what is a really true impulse, or what is a wish, yeah, a desire, or what is an impulse.
Sometimes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Actually, I was thinking to invite Sasha, who's a new guest tonight, but I think he seems to have gone off the meeting. Is he still there?
Ich wollte den Sascha eigentlich einladen, aber ich sehe ihn gar nicht mehr.
No, I think they left a little while ago. Yeah. Never mind. Next time, maybe. Okay.
Ja.
Good. So unless somebody volunteers right now, I will stop the meeting.
Also wenn nicht noch jemand sich melden möchte, dann höre ich jetzt auf. Dann möchte ich noch mal was sagen.
Okay, so good. So let's see. So next week there won't be a meeting, a Zoom meeting,
Nächste Woche gibt
because
es kein Meeting, weil
on next Friday we start a 10-day retreat in our
am
house in
nächsten Freitag
Denia.
beginnt in Denia ein 10-tägiges Retreat.
So actually probably it'll be 2 weeks without a meeting.
Ja, also
So,
haben wir jetzt
is
wahrscheinlich
it 2
2 Wochen
weeks?
kein Meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the 8th of June, so 2 weeks.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, we come back here on the 7th and there'll be a meeting on the 8th.
Juni ist das nächste.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.